So we've talked about building an emergency fund, and sometimes people do get confused about what an emergency fund is and what savings are. But today, let's talk about the differences between an emergency fund and savings and why you need both. Hi, my name is Jordan and welcome to the channel. So remember how your mother always nags at you to save more money, put your money in the bank and let it grow. So unfortunately, she's not wrong for doing that because she was taking care of your well-being. But in this channel, we also talk about investing to grow your wealth, and one of the prerequisites to investing is to have a 6-month emergency fund set aside before you even start investing. And the big question here today is our emergency fund the same as our savings? So let's take a look at what savings are. So basically, a saving or savings fund is a sum of money that you have set aside for a particular goal. So this can be a short-term goal like a short vacation, a mid-term goal like owning a house, or even a longer-term goal like retirement. But ideally, your retirement, we should be investing instead of saving for it, because with investing, you take a small amount of risk for a higher return as compared to savings, which gives you very little return, even with the current interest rates going up. So if you look at the current savings rate in Singapore, 8 in 10 Singaporeans saves at least 10% of the salary, but on average, the savings rate is about 28%, which is pretty high, considering that many would probably use the 50-30-20 rule to budget out their money. But in the last 5 years, savings rate have been steadily increasing and peaked at a high of 39.9% from the average of 28%. So this could be due to people staying at home and not going out, and hence having more disposable income during the pandemic. So if you look at emergency funds right now, this will be something a little bit more complex, but we'll explain it as simply as we can. So when we talk about emergency funds, this will fall into a category of savings as well, because obviously you need to save for this sum of money. But the differences here is the goal of an emergency fund is to provide us with enough money to cover our high, unexpected costs or major financial changes should that happen. And the goal here is to use these emergency funds to cover these expenses or changes so that you don't have to max out your credit card or to take a loan to cover these expenses should that need arise. And if you want to, you can think of an emergency fund as a huge rainy day fund. But the benefit of an emergency fund is that it gives you options and unlock new features in lives, like finding a better job without the fear of being jobless for a short period of time, or the option to start investing your hard-earned money for passive income.
Achievement unlocked.
So how do we start a savings and emergency fund? To start a savings or emergency fund is as simple as planning how much you are willing to put aside every single month for your savings and your emergency funds. So the 50-30-20 rule is a pretty good plan to have and to follow for a beginner. But as you progress and level up in life, these numbers will change because of the changes that we have in life as well. But whatever savings percentage there is, finding the savings account that works for you will help you in the longer term. There are many different accounts available, and the interest starts from 0.05% all the way to 1%. So these numbers might seem really low and don't beat inflation, but do remember that this sum of money is your savings that will be used to tide over tough times. So personally, I use a CIMB Fast Saver account because it used to give a 1% interest rate with a minimum deposit of $1,000, no questions asked. However, after the pandemic, things changed and the interest rate dropped significantly to 0.3%, which is still pretty okay, accounting that you don't have to do too many things to get this interest rate. And if you spend at least $300 on their CIMB Visa Signature card, you get a full 1% of interest for the first $10,000 that you have in your Fast Saver account. Otherwise, if you're in for the 0.3%, that's a pretty good starting point as well. And putting it to numbers, 0.3% of $10,000 is about $30 for the full year, which is about $2.50 every single month. There are many other banks out there that you can do research on and search up, but do read up on the fine prints because there are some that requires you to jump through multiple hoops to get the most interest rate possible, and there are some that requires less. But one of the important things that I found out is to keep your savings, your emergency fund and your savings accounts different. So keeping them separate and making them into different accounts make things a lot easier for me because I won't overspend or accidentally spend into my savings. But then if you have really strict discipline and having your money in one account that gives you the highest interest can be really beneficial for you because you're able to maximize your money and get as much interest as possible. But if you're not that disciplined, then having separate accounts for different users will probably be the best thing that you can do for yourself. And this brings us to the end of today's video. Let me know what are some of the savings accounts that you use. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, and turn on the notification bell. And as always, stay safe, invest safe, and I'll see you in the next one.